I gotta find out more about
That's why we're trying. It's getting cold out there.
Like, you know, the camera apparently is ready to go.
Okay, that was really great. All right. What makes Cine Gear Expo so great is it brings together the film, video, digital media, broadcast, and internet industry professionals. The Cine Gear Expo 2011 Lifetime Achievement Award is in recognition of the significant contributions an individual has made to advancing the art and craft of filmmaking. Carl Kresser and Julianne Grosso head up that Cine Gear Expo team.
No, I don't like things out of focus.
Hello, can I get everybody's attention, please? Sean Fowler, he will present the Cine Gear Expo 2011 Lifetime Achievement Award. He's going to present it to Howard Preston. John, please come on up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right.
So, good evening. Once upon a time, smooth zooms were not an easy feat to accomplish. I'm sure many of us remember that. How many in this audience remember the contortions that we would have to go through to get a smooth zoom? It sort of went like this. Remember the old days? And the early zoom controls were sort of like a combination of a San Francisco cable car paddle and maybe a steering wheel, and it required very often two assistants to achieve the feat of a smooth zoom with feathered starts and stops. Well, and follow focus was about as remote as a long mechanical cable could extend. So the man who changed all this is being honored tonight, Howard Preston, who's here on the stage with us. Hey. Howard is the president and founder of Preston Cinema Systems. He's the inventor of the Microforce, zoom control, the Fizz system, Light Ranger, speed aperture control, and many more things. I first met Howard in New York. I bought one of the early Microforces, and Howard personally came to deliver it to us in New York. And I remember the first thing that we did, my assistant and I, was we took it apart. And Howard and I have still remained friends. I'm not sure how that's been possible, but we have. There we were on the floor, taking it apart. You really know a product is important when it becomes part of the vocabulary, as in call Otto and tell him to get a dozen Microforces on the set immediately. Or what do you mean Denny doesn't have a dozen Fizzes available for us tonight? So it's definitely part of the vocabulary. Howard was born in New Jersey. He moved to California, went to UCLA. He got his PhD. Howard got his PhD in theoretical physics. So it's Dr. Preston, I presume. Dr. Preston, I presume. Sometimes on difficult camera setups, we joke that it isn't rocket science, but with Howard, we happen to have a real rocket scientist. What he really wanted to do was get into film. So in 1978, he made a documentary on the origins of the universe, which of course led to work on Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Woody Allen's Manhattan, Carl Sagan's Cosmos. Howard went on to build a camera rig that he attached to a Vespa that he drove through Italy that somehow managed to describe how the theory of relativity worked. And that was actually attached to he managed to couple frame rate with lens aperture and to maintain constant exposure, which was basically the basis for a lot of the speed aperture computers that would follow. And Howard received a Technical Achievement Award from the Motion Picture Academy a year later, and that was the basis for most of the systems that would follow. Howard started Preston Cinema Systems in 1980 with his first product, the Microforce Zoom Control, and it was unique. It really was unique because, well, it worked. It worked. And you could finally do smooth zooms, one person, not only with one hand, but with one finger of one hand. And it was an instant success and became an industry standard. So building on his earlier work in the physics lab, Howard developed the Light Ranger laser autofocus system in 1980. And its feature debut was on Mike Myers' Wayne's World 2. And many other projects followed, including Hard Rain, The Patriot, and The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. So Howard's famous Fizz system, the Focus Iris Zoom Control, was introduced in 1994, and that's been an industry standard ever since. Its performance and reliability has made wireless lens and camera control on set really the rule rather than the exception, and we all take it for granted, but Howard's the man who introduced it to us. So without further ado, in recognition for his significant contributions to the art and craft of filmmaking, it's my honor to announce that the Cine Expo 2001 Lifetime Achievement Award goes to Dr. Howard Preston. Congratulations.
Well, thank you, Carl and Julianne, for this award, and John, for your generous introduction. And yes, I have forgiven you for taking my first Microforce apart. And I wanted to tell you how deeply I appreciated this award. It's given me the opportunity to reflect on the pleasure I've had in working with and befriending so many of you in the audience who are standing here now. Of course, many of our products our company has pursued have come about either from my own experience working in film or from listening to crew members and rental house gurus. After all their problems become our opportunities for making better and more capable equipment. Some customers have given me a more unique experience and perspective on equipment design than others. What comes to mind was the first time I handed a Microforce off to a camera assistant who was standing in the foyer of Otto Nemes's rental house on Sunset Boulevard. Yeah, for all those who remember that. He went through the contortions John described, weaving wide circles with his Microforce in a kind of physical prayer to the gods of smooth focus. And in the end, he wound up the Microforce like a pitcher might do in his wind-up. How to design for that, I thought. To avoid being paralyzed by all the conflicting voices I hear. Some saying, make the knob bigger, make it smaller, make it both. Make it programmable. No, keep it simple. Build it into the camera. No, make it modular. And of course, everyone is right. How do you decide? Well, to avoid being paralyzed by all these conflicting voices, I followed the teachings of a great American philosopher, a man who, when he wasn't hitting baseballs, was enlightening us with thoughts like, you better cut the pizza into 4 pieces. I'm not hungry enough for 6. And you should always go to other people's funerals or they won't go to yours. These quotes belong to Yogi Berra. To make a decision in a conflicting situation, Mr. Berra advises us that when you come to a fork in the road, take it. And when you're designing a new product, keep in mind, you've got to be careful that you don't know where you're going. You might not get there. And finally, there's no point in worrying about the future. Just go at it with all you got, because in the words of Yogi, the future ain't what it used to be. Thank you very much.